Hello, my name is Chris Culver. I'm married to Kelly Culver, and we have three children, Ben, Sophia, and Josh. I want to thank you all for listening in on this Fatherhood Series. This being the week of Thanksgiving, I thought I would share with you what I think to be one of the most powerful tools of being a father, and that is thankfulness. I learned that message from my own dad, who died in September of 2020. My dad, in many ways, was a man's man, a little bit bigger than life. He loved my mother, his whole marriage. His mother herself was divorced back in the 50s when that was a little more scandalous. And he committed himself to my mother, saying that he never wanted to give that to his children, and he succeeded. And it wasn't a small task. I have 8 brothers and sisters, and we all put them through many, many challenges. He was also a member of the military. He started in the Air Force and finished a 32-year career as a lieutenant colonel in the Wisconsin Air National Guard. He was actually selected to the rank of colonel and was on his way to becoming a general. But back in the 1950s, when he joined the military, he didn't have to have a college degree, and he didn't get one. And he became an officer. And they selected him for being a full colonel. But upon administrative review, they couldn't give it to him because he didn't have a college degree. They said he could have went to the War College and became a colonel. But he didn't do that because at the time he had 9 young children and older children living in the home, and he just couldn't get the time. So he ended up retiring, and he loved. He loved the Air National Guard. He loved flying. He was a navigator. At 59, he had a stroke, and that was right before he was going to retire, and it kind of took out his right arm. And he was always a physical man, and one of his big dreams in retirement was to work with wood. He was kind of a handyman around the house, and he just always wanted to have that hobby of working with wood. But because of the stroke and the permanent damage that it did to his right arm, he couldn't do that. Instead, him and my mother went over in their retirement years and took over the St. Vincent de Paul Society at our parish, which was rather large society. They'd go in and visit in people's homes all the time. And they did that until he was 70, when he could no longer safely walk up and down stairs. This was in Milwaukee, which is just a slightly hillier than South Bend. So all the steps in the neighborhood, all the houses in the neighborhood had, 15, 20 steps to get up to the house. And when he could no longer do that safely, he gave it up. He was always giving to everybody. And I was able to go home to Milwaukee and visit several times in his later years. And when he could no longer write checks because he just had a hard time moving his arms around and his heart was failing, he'd have me write checks that were donations to other people. So he had a whole spreadsheet of who he wanted to give to and how much he wanted to give. And he was just always this man who gave. He was a wonderful example to me in many ways. I would say I am the man because I was his son. One of the things that became very clear in the last 6 months of his life was that I always wondered about where he got his strength from, and it became apparent in his last 6 months. Every time I saw him and every time I walked into the house, he would always say that he was most thankful for his life. He attributed all of the good things that he did to God, and he did many, many wonderful things, but he always gave thanks, not only for what he received, but for what he was able to give. And that was his real strength. And, he was a great dad. And it was that sense of thankfulness that I saw in him that I tried to bring into my own life, because I don't think I was living that way. And in doing that, I think I became so much better as a father. And so if you're going through and you want to kind of know what it really means to be a good father, I think in a real, real sense, you have to be a person of deep thankfulness. Thank you.